Hey everybody, this is Michaelantonio, and I'm back to give you some shocking news. I want to save the world. Will you help me? No? Alright. Well, that was enough of that. No, I'm just kidding. Listen, first, before we go anywhere, I want to tell you about my orange colored glasses here. Yes, that is right. I am a fan of Syracuse University sports, namely basketball and football. And of course, you know the basketball team's doing really well right now, and I hope that keeps going. Oh, by the way, if you're a fan of Duke, I'm sorry. All right, go Miami University. That's the only time you're going to ever hear that from me, Mr. Timothy Hooper. You know what I'm talking about. Because that's it. I'm never going to say that again. Anyway, let's get back to saving the world. I'm growing increasingly tired of what's going on in this country when it comes to the dialogue we are having about all the different issues in our place here, in our great country. This country is amazing. Let's not make this worse than we have to. And I don't want to turn it into partisan politics either, because I realize there's a lot of Democrats, Republicans, Independents. There's people that have their own thought process, but that's what America's about, our own thoughts. The individual liberty that we all enjoy, or at least we're supposed to. And that's the problem. Right now we're having those liberties stripped away from us. We have all these crises going on, school shootings and the other violence and the problem with our government overspending and the budget crisis, all these things that are very disturbing to Americans and to the world, frankly. And I don't know. I think that I have a lot of good ideas, and that's what I really wanted to tell you today. I would like to throw my hat into the political arena in a serious way. I would like to get involved with some kind of a campaign or a think tank, something like that. So if there's anybody out there that's involved in a campaign, if you are a candidate in the future, or you are a government official right now, or if you're a member of a think tank, someone who's in leadership positions who would offer me a job to help you, because I want to help. I really want to be involved in this. Now, I will say this: I do prefer being in a battleground state out west somewhere. I love it. I've lived in Nevada for many years, and I like it there. And I kind of like the political climate there. It's a hotbed, and I think that's a really, really good place to be at this time in history, in American history. It's a great place to be, somewhere like that. There are some places like New York where there's really not much you can get done at the outset. It's too much of a stronghold for one particular mindset or belief system, and it's tough to break that. Now, can it be broken? Can it be loosened up? Yeah, but it's going to take longer, I think, than I have, or that many of us have anyway. So let me go ahead and get serious now. I'm going to take these off here. Let me say this: if I want anyone, I don't care if you agree with me, disagree with me, whoever you are, send me a response video. Let me know exactly how you feel about these situations. And I want to get into something that's very important today. And I'm going to touch on this in later shows, later videos. But I think this is a really, really critical starting point for me, a place to start. We have to get down to the basics. Why are we here in America? What is America all about? Because I think as a country, we have forgotten what America really is. What is our place in the world, in history? My question is, what makes us unique in history, and what makes us unique in the world even today? What makes us different? Is it our freedom? I would like to think that it's our freedom. That's how we started. We kind of broke the mold when it came to the concepts of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Originally, that concept written by John Locke, when he said, life, liberty, and property, which very similar. The pursuit of happiness, property could be part of that. But what I want to say is that there's something very important about life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness that I think we haven't touched on. And I was thinking about this the other day. It just came to me. And it's something that we really, really need to discuss. We need to examine, experiment with. please tell me how you feel about this, because I think this is important. I don't think, when it was originally written by Mr. Locke, I don't think he just wrote those particular freedoms in any random order. I think there's a reason why he made it life first, liberty second, and then, of course, he put property, and in America we call it the pursuit of happiness. Anything that we would want to pursue that would make us happier in life, whether it be pursuing a love of family, doing more for our families and growing our influence over the world, or whatever it may be. So I think we have to discuss that. And that is the precursor to basically every law we make and everything we do here in this country. This is it. The pursuit of happiness, life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness is everything that we are. And let me just discuss with you my theory, my thoughts about this particular order and why it's important that it's prioritized in this order. In other words, that being life number one. To give you an example, if I want liberty, in other words, I want to be free to do something, that's number 2 on the list. Liberty. Now, what if my liberty is, well, I want to, I don't like you, so I want to just have you put in prison because I don't like you. Well, that kind of interferes with your liberty. They're on the same level. Kind of think of this as rock, scissors, paper. You heard of the game? The game rock, scissors, paper, where there's a hierarchy. Certain things knock out other things. That's how you win the game. In this sense, my liberty cannot take out your liberty. Excuse me. I can't tell you, well, I want you to go to jail because I don't like you. Well, that takes away your liberty because you don't belong in jail just because you disagree with me. So therefore, there's nothing I can do about that. And on the same token, life first. So I can't go kill you because I don't like you. I'm going to shoot you because I don't like you. Well, guess what? That means liberty is second on the list. Second on the list means, of course, that life comes first. You cannot kill somebody because you want the freedom to do so. So you see how this order comes into play. And of course, the pursuit of happiness is kind of a result of liberty, obviously. So liberty kind of comes first. So if I want to pursue happiness, again, my pursuit of happiness cannot infringe upon your liberty or your life. So if I want to, for instance, I want to put a big pool in my yard, okay? But actually, no, my pool, I don't have a very big yard, so let me go ahead and maybe put half my pool into your yard. Now, after all, hey, it's, I'll even let you use the pool once in a while, right? I mean, is that fair? Well, if you agreed to it, I'm sure that'd be all right. But what if you said, nah, I don't want you to put your part of your pool in my yard. That's my yard. So, again, my pursuit of happiness should not interfere with your liberties. And your liberty is, look, that's my property, that's my yard. And again, it comes down to pursuit of happiness. Again, originally it was property when it was written by John Locke. And therefore, my property and my liberty are very critical to each other. And there's a lot of serious implications about the order of these particular freedoms that we've been given, granted by God. A lot of implications here. These could be equated down even to the issue of the life of a baby in the womb. This could actually be brought into that arena. In other words, does your liberty as a person, shall it or can it interfere with the life of a baby? I mean, we're getting serious now. You want to have a serious discussion? Do you want to fix our problems? We've got to have serious discussions. And this cannot be an issue of, well, you hate women if you don't agree with me. No, I'm not. Let's not get into that. That's not going to solve anything. It's only going to create more division. I can't talk to you, and you can't talk to me if there's going to be this hatred, this idea that, oh, there's something wrong with you. You are evil if you disagree with me here. we can't have a discussion. And that's why it's not working now, because you see all these people that they want to call things, they want to marginalize their opponent, the person they disagree with. They want to make them feel like, well, you are so ridiculous and you are so evil and so hateful. They use that term, hateful. That and all it is again, it's an argument to make that person seem small, like their arguments are no good, and it marginalizes them. It makes them ineffective in essence. And in many ways, it works. The problem is the person doing that. Usually, if you're going to engage in that, you're not a problem solver. You may have succeeded in knocking out that person's thoughts and ideas, but where are your own good ideas? Where are yours? And if you think your ideas are superior, if you have no competing ideas to your own, chances are there's going to be a mistake along the way. Chances are your ideas have a problem somewhere, and you might need the help of someone else to bring you to that place. You might need someone else to actually, kind of fix some of the little issues in there and tweak it a bit. But if you think, again, the people that you agree with, that you believe in, and again, I don't want to get into party politics. We can talk Democrat, Republican, Independent, Green Party, this party, that party. It doesn't matter. It's about ideas, and that's why I say we need to encourage debate and the expression of ideas, even if you don't agree with those ideas. Even if you say, well, those ideas are just, I believe, inferior or not going to solve the problem. That's fine. Express that. And then, the most important thing about that is not just to say you disagree, but explain coherently and effectively why you disagree. Why you don't quite see it the way that I see it, or that whoever is arguing with you sees it. Explain why, and then maybe try to come up with better solutions. That's how we fix our problems. Calling people names, saying that you don't agree with something is just not going to solve the problem. It's only going to make things worse, and we're seeing that now. We have never been so divided in this country as we are right now, probably, I would say, since the Civil War, which is, 150 years ago. We're talking about 150 years that we haven't been so divided as a country. And a lot of it is because there are certain groups of people that are not interested in debate. They're not interested in coming to a solution because they think they have all the answers. I have all the answers, and therefore I don't need your help. And again, I'm not going to mention party because it's not important what party you are in as to why you feel this way. That's not even an issue, So I think that I hope that that we can get beyond that. But getting back to this issue of trying to marginalize somebody, I don't know if you've ever heard of this argument. It's called the straw man argument. Basically, what you're doing when you call somebody a name, try to belittle them, marginalize their ideas, is you're creating a straw man. And a straw man is any argument that can be easily refuted. You can, and what people will often do is come up with some kind of just an outrageously unrealistic concept to make you feel like, to make that person seem like, oh, see, their ideas are stupid. I'll give you an example. We have the gun rights debate. We have, people who want to restrict gun rights in this country now. Now, what they do is, anyone who believes in gun rights that are handed down to us by the Second Amendment, anyone who does that is considered by certain groups of people to be haters of life. They want to, you just want to see children die. You just want to see, you just want to make, you want to make sure that you don't care about safety. You want to see, really, you want to see children. This is what they say. You want children to die and to be murdered in school because you believe in gun rights. And, that's not going to solve the problem, because statistically, what you just said is not only highly improbable, but that's not the way it is. That's absolutely not what gun rights end up. That's not where they end up. People don't die generally because of lax gun laws. People die generally because of, because we've got bad people in the world and bad things happen. That's generally why, and it's sad. But there's other ways. There are ways we can reduce it, and there are ways we can fix it. But to have a discussion, to try to put somebody else down because you don't agree with the way they're doing things or they want things, is not the way to solve the problem. I'm sorry, it's just not going to happen. So, I was thinking that that we need to have a dialogue in this country that is free from, name calling. And again, look, I'm guilty of it. Sometimes I've done it before, and I'm sorry that I have. I don't want to get to that point. I think it just gets to the point where you have an escalation. Pride gets in the way. We feel so strongly about what we believe in that we want to make sure that we get what we ask for, that what we want. And I understand that. But you have to remember, the critical point is that this is America. And in America, freedom, individual liberty, comes before all else. I mean, that is the key component of our society. Freedom and individual liberty. Are there limits? Yes. We can argue about what those limits are. But I can tell you this. Those limits, I'm telling you, are very small when it comes to limiting liberty. The Constitution, what a lot of people don't understand, is that the Constitution was actually written to limit the power of government, not to limit the power of Americans. It was not created to tell Americans what we have to do for our government. It was written to government. It's a warning to government to say, you can't go this far. You cannot do this to the people. This is their freedom. This is their liberty. So remember that. Whenever you have an argument or a discussion, whenever we're trying to solve a problem, we have to keep those limits in mind. There are limits, and we have to kind of work around them. And there's ways to do it. I think instead of limits, instead of imposing laws that are highly regulatory, that kind of restrict people, create more log jams, cost people their jobs. A lot of things happen when you have that kind of stuff. Excuse me. I think there's a way to fix those things. One of the ways is giving incentives. You give people incentives to do certain things. Like, for instance, if you're trying to limit, if you want to put more restrictions on people bearing arms, I wouldn't even call them restrictions because I don't believe in those kind of restrictions. I believe there's a way to incentivize people being more responsible with what they have. And that's how you do it. You give them an incentive for responsibility if they own a gun, or if they're in their car when they're driving their car. Let's give them incentives. Insurance companies do it. With insurance, if you don't have accidents during that particular calendar year, oftentimes you get a discount. You don't have, you're not paying the higher prices of people who have violated traffic laws, who have gotten in accidents, things like that. So there are incentives that work for many people. Of course, there's some people that incentives will never work, but that's, again, in a free society, there are things that you have to give up. As with anything, this is real life now. We're talking about reality. And in reality, in the real world, things happen. With freedom, when you get freedom, you have to give something else up. That's the way it is with anything in life. So the old expression, you can't have your cake and eat it too. Well, you can't have everything you want in life. Whenever you get something, something has to be given up. For freedom, you give up a little bit of safety. No, that doesn't mean we can be a little safer. There's ways to make life a little safer. You don't take unnecessary risks all the time. But again, life will never be 100% safe. There's absolutely no way that's possible. Life is dangerous. And none of us get out of it alive. So that's just the way it is. And we have to understand that. I think there's many other things I can talk about here. I wanted to get into, for instance, one of our problems is with our elected officials. Our elected officials now are less concerned about fixing the problems and more concerned about their polling numbers and their campaign. How are they going to win the next election? And once they get in, how am I going to get the most for me? That's a problem. Our elected officials should be more concerned about how we're going to fix something, how we're going to change things to make it better for Americans. I don't see a lot of that happening, and it's sad. I don't understand it. I mean, I guess in some ways I do. We can all get caught in that meat grinder. You go into like when you go to a new job, you think, oh, I'm going to go in there, I'm just going to knock them dead, man. I'm going to go in there, and I am going to be the best employee. I'm going to be the envy of all my coworkers, and my boss is going to want to promote me in a short time, or maybe immediately. They're going to just see this amazing person in me, and I'm going to really do it. And what happens? We get in there, and just, hey, stuff happens. You start getting bogged down by this job and that. You find out that personalities are involved. There's egos involved. You have a lot of different things going on, and things never work out exactly the way you plan them. That doesn't mean you can't get ahead. Sometimes it takes a little longer than you had thought, but it's just hard work. You got to put in the work for it. You got to put in that time, and you really got to, sometimes you have to change your entire paradigm, the way you think and how you deal with people. And it's not easy, and I've dealt with that. It's not an easy task. I've never mastered it yet, and here we are, But so I think if we can get our elected officials, and I don't know if this is ever going to happen, maybe it can start with me. I would love to be an elected official. I would love to be involved in politics in some way, because I really don't. I don't have any skin in the game right now. I'm not a greedy person. I've never made a lot of money in my life, so I don't really think in terms of money. I don't think about how much can I make. It's what can I do? What can I do to affect change? I'm more of a person who I want to be remembered. In some ways that's kind of greedy, I guess. My thoughts are I want to be remembered for what I have done, for the accomplishments that I have achieved, regardless of money. It doesn't hurt to make a little money, but the point is, what are we here for? What are elected officials there for? They're not there to make money. They're there to make sure that America runs the way it was designed. And guess what? We're not even close. This country is not even close to what we were designed to be doing. I mean, our forefathers literally would not recognize, and I'm not even talking about the modern technology. That's beside the point. I'm talking about how the government's being run right now. I'm talking about all the little intricacies and the backdoor deals and all the things that are happening that do nothing but increase the coffers of our nation's capital and the people in there, in Washington. They would be amazed and appalled. It would kill them, I think. Well, if they're not, we know they're already dead, but it would kill them again. They'd be dead again. If they saw that, it would just, I don't know how they would function. It would be crazy. So I think we need to find people who truly care. And again, this is not about taking sides, like, oh, we need all Republicans or all Democrats or, No, I'm talking about just people who truly do care. And then let's get some ideas going. People who are wise, people who understand human nature and understand America and what it stands for. We really need that. We're missing that. It's been gone for a long time, and we're missing that. It's terrible. I don't know. I just think that it's the more I think about it, it's very, very sad. I almost feel powerless because whenever I do something or say something or I'll post something that I think is important, most of the time it's ignored, or I get a lot of negative feedback, and it isn't, again, not just disagreement. And yes, to all of you who disagree respectfully, I respect you for that, and I thank you for that, because that's great. That's what I want. I want respectful disagreement and wise, a wise rebuttal. I want people to write back to me and say, look, this is really what I was thinking about, and have that exchange where you can say something and I can, and again, I also have the theory. I had this discussion with a friend of mine several months ago, my friend Richard in Vegas, and Richard, he knows I get fiery when it comes to debates, and he sometimes, man, you're getting all excited and you're going to hurt yourself, and he's probably right, but my thing is this: first of all, I do love fiery debate, not name calling, not you're an idiot or this and that, and no, fiery debate, ideas. But I believe in the exchange of ideas, and for many reasons. But one of the major reasons is that sometimes when you're having a debate with somebody, it doesn't hit you right then. If you tell me you believe in something that I don't agree with, yeah, that night I'm going to walk away after the debate and say, yeah, whatever. But I don't care if it's 10 years down the road. I begin to think about something and say, you know what? You know, what this person said back then, oh, trust me, I remember a lot of those things. I say, that person really made some sense there. And even if I don't borrow all of their ideas or everything, there's some little nugget there. There's some little bit of, some little gem of information that can help me learn something. And I'm hoping that what I tell them, they can learn something from me. Whether it be a year in the future from then, a day, 10 years, 20 years, a lifetime, whatever it is, because we all learn from each other and then we all pass it on. And that's important. I think it is. Also, I think another thing is too that we tend to think about history and our learning as we've evolved as a civilization from many, many years ago. We tend to think in a linear fashion. Now, this is very important because we think that upon every generation, we learned this, then we learned this, then we learned this, and there's really, as we build up, we shouldn't think back and we shouldn't borrow any of the past because some of those things are, those bad ideas are, that means that basically anything that we've done in our past, and I'm speaking not individually, but as a whole, corporate as a whole in society, any bad thing that we have in our past, behaviors like slavery, and how many civilizations did that to other civilizations, and some of the terrible things we've done. We say, well, because of all those bad things, we can never go back and glean any good from the past. That's linear thinking, and we have to get away from that. And I see that a lot in campaigns. The political parties using that. Like, for instance, you have now the Democrats using the idea that, the other party, the other people want to take us back in history. They want to take us back to a dark time, to a time when all these bad things were happening, and so we can't go back. And then what they say is move forward. We're going to move forward. And although that's, a good thing, to say you want to move forward and learn new things and improve society, that's great. But there's also a lot of things we can learn from the past that we didn't take with us. Things that we left back there that for some reason didn't carry forward. Oh, there's a lot of things. We can talk about the bad things. We had civil rights. We had, before that there was slavery, and we treated minorities very poorly. And that was a terrible thing. And then we had the civil rights movement that was championed by many different groups of people. Obviously, by Martin Luther King Jr., a great example of incredible perseverance in the eye of the storm. I mean, you're talking about what a time to live back then, when almost everybody was against you. It was like this person just stood up and said, "I'm gonna stand up, and I don't care what people think. This is the right thing to do," and he did, and he gave his life for that. What an amazing thing! How many of us would be willing to give our lives to right a wrong? I mean, it takes a lot of courage, and so he really, really is the embodiment of great courage, and he helped bring about a lot of change. And there were other people that helped him, obviously, but what an incredible degree of courage it took, and I applaud him for that. What an awesome thing, And then you have, so we changed, we made this transition, and so we move forward. But you also have to remember that back in that time, there were good things. I'm talking about that era, from World War II, from the end of World War II until the Civil Rights Movement. We had such an incredible, we had a lot of family values back then. The family was very important. It was the cornerstone of our society. The family unit was an important thing. I think we've gotten away from that. Not to say that, not everybody likes to have a traditional family. I understand that. It's not for everybody. But I think instead of getting away from it and trying to make it seem like a bad thing, I think we need to be a little more respectful of that. I don't see that. I see a lot of division there. there's no reason why we can't peacefully coexist with people who don't agree with our particular lifestyle. But so again, there's this whole mudslinging, this issue of I'm going to demonize you, you're going to demonize me. It's not doing anyone any good. It really isn't. So we got to get away from that. There's I thought about this too. You know, we have two major political parties in this country, and although I think to a large degree it has worked, to a small degree for a while anyway. Now it's getting to the point where Washington is so saturated with the power, you know, the drunken power of these two parties, that it's at danger levels. I mean, it's, you know, America is becoming endangered, an endangered species. I mean, it's a very bad time for us in America, and a lot of it has to do with the two party system. Again, not to say that you know, I don't think one, you know, having several different parties to compete with them is feasible right away, because we know it takes time. But I do believe in competition. I mean, that's the whole concept of America. America came up with a concept that works the best. We became the greatest nation on earth based on what? On competition. The concept of capitalism, where you had competing interests, competing companies. Who's going to be the best? Let's be the best here. And what happens is that gives people more options. And whenever people have more options, it improves everything. And that's where we have to be. The two-party system, I believe, it should be a dying concept. It needs to you want to talk about something that needs to go away? You know, we talk about moving forward. Let's move forward away from a simply two-party system. Now, I have an idea. I'm not going to articulate that idea with you right now, because it's something that needs to be done in a different setting. Which is, again, why I'm going to call out, again, anyone that's interested in bringing me on board as a consultant to help with ideas, whether it be a think tank, whether it be a political organization of any type. I'm telling you, I have ideas that I think at least can be borrowed from or can be utilized in its entirety, you know, as a whole. We'll see. Again, I don't know. But I really, really feel like I have some ideas that are worthy. And what it will do is, just to give you, I'm going to give you a little teaser here. I'm going to make you feel good about America if we go in this direction. We need to incentivize the voter, you, the citizen, to be able to vote for whoever you feel is going to, you know, be in the best interest of America and our freedoms. Not necessarily your best interest. A lot of people say, well, why do you vote against your best interest? To give you an example, there are people who say, you know, why would you want to vote for somebody who helps the rich or helps companies, you know, to keep more of what they earn? Because after all, don't the poor people need some of that money? Now, I understand that. We need to help the people who can't help themselves in America. I believe in that. I believe in Christian values, and that means helping your fellow man. That's something I believe strongly in. However, you cannot take away from someone who is, you know, wealthy to the point where it disincentivizes them to hire people and to make America more productive. So, you know, you might say, well, that's against your interest. If you're a poor person and you are someone who, let's say I'm a poor person who needs that assistance right now. I'm in trouble, yet I would vote for somebody who's seemingly against that? No, because you have to understand something. What I'm voting for is what I believe to be better for America and freedom, and ultimately it will help me, because I'll have a better chance of being employed and being a more productive member of society. So it's not always voting for the person who you think is going to help you or give you a handout. It's the person that's going to make America, you know, work according to its design. The design of freedom, liberty, free enterprise, capitalism. That's what we work towards. That's what we should always be working towards. So I will say this. How do we do that? We have to create an environment and a paradigm in our voting system in the setup that allows for that, that incentivizes other parties, other interests, other ideas to come in, competing ideas of equal power. You cannot just have these two power brokers, the Democrat, the Republican Party. What are they doing? They're in control of everything. I happen to be a member of one of those parties, so trust me, I am not. I don't hate them. I don't. I'm not going to have. This is not a diatribe about how evil they are, but it's telling you that this is just in the arena of ideas. Two parties is a bad idea, because it's similar to having only two insurance companies for the entire country, or only two power companies for the entire country. Now, yeah, they can compete. There is a little competition there, I guess, but it's not enough. It's not enough to make things optimal, to create an environment where other ideas can come in to kind of say, guys, because you've got two ends of the spectrum there oftentimes. You got somebody that goes way off in this direction, somebody goes way off in this direction, and basically the one that wins, they get a lot of what they want sometimes, and that's not a good thing. When you bring in a third party, what happens is you bring in other ideas. And if they have equal power, guess what happens? Now you have a better chance for some of those other good ideas to be implemented, to come in. So that's what we need to do. We need to make it so these other parties. Now you can't do it right away, because I'm not a believer in immediately making these rules, these laws that are going to hamper the rights of the two parties. Again, it goes back to what I said earlier. Incentivize. You want to give incentives for the growth of this competition. Incentives, not laws or restrictions or regulations and all these things. And you got to think outside the box a little here, and trust me, I've thought outside the box. I've had this discussion with only a very few people, because my idea, to be honest with you guys, this idea is kind of a secret. It's something that it's in the works. I haven't perfected it yet, but trust me, this idea that I have is I call it this is like a 10 or a 20-year plan, because that's what it's going to take. It's going to take probably a generation for this plan to work, but I'm telling you, you can't do it any other way and have it be effective. It would be a disaster if you tried it any other way. So I'm telling you about this idea. You're going to like it when you hear it. I think you will. Because what I do is I do research. I research what people are saying. This is how you do it. When you try to find the solution to a problem, you want to hear what everybody's saying, and that's all different people. I'm one of these people who I had a lot of arguments with people who again disagree with my views. I had people who would talk to me about Mr. Ron Paul, who ran in the last election, and who, a lot of people said, well, if I can't have him on the Republican ballot, I'm not voting at all. Well, I mean, I understand, I disagree with that. I think there's better ways to do that. But, again, instead of sour grapes, instead of saying, well, that's just not going to work, you know what? It happened. You can't change somebody's heart. You can tell them what you believe, and that's about it. You can't mess with free will when it comes to that. So, what do? How do you fix that solution? Again, incentive. This is how companies do it. When they're looking for better, for more customers, what do? Can a company make a law to force a customer to walk in their doors and to buy something? No. They have to give the customer an incentive to be there, to buy something in their store, to buy something online, or whatever the case. So what do? You give incentives. Why can't we do that in our government? When it comes to politics, why does everything have to be a law? We have to get out of this concept of a new law for everything. And that's the one trap that our government has tricked us into believing. This is the one thing, there's the people that get involved in politics, oftentimes, they learn how to manipulate the masses. They learn how to manipulate people into certain behaviors, into certain, not only just behaviors, that's the end of the line. The root of the problem is the thought process. They brainwash people into this paradigm, this concept, this mindset of how things are done. This is how it works. This is how things are done. And we're not going to deviate from that, because after all, it would not work. It's not going to work, And I don't believe in that. As long as, again, the Constitution, as written, restricts government, not the individual. It was designed to restrict government. And so therefore, what kind of power is that we have as a people? We have so much power. We can think outside the box so much with that because of freedom and liberty. So you don't have to worry about, the government's, well, you can't do that. Well, wait a minute. Why can't I? The only reason why we can't do something like that is if it does restrict someone's freedoms. That if a new law would restrict someone's freedoms. I have no problem with a new law as long as that law not only backs up the Constitution but further clarifies it. That's what we want. In other words, I don't have any problem with a law. Like, for instance, we have this problem with the Second Amendment. People want to say, well, let's restrict gun rights. Well, the Second Amendment, although it's not 100% clear, if you do the research, again, research what our founding fathers said about the Second Amendment and about our rights. That pretty much clarifies what they believe the Second Amendment was all about, the meaning of the Second Amendment. Now, although it's not in the Constitution beyond that, there's nothing really more specific, so why don't we go ahead and maybe add an amendment to the Constitution that clarifies the Second Amendment based on what our forefathers really wanted. And let's do the research. Let's get it done. That's what I'm talking about. Let's think outside the box here and let's get it done. We can add to the Constitution, sure, but it has to clarify the freedoms we have, or maybe even add some freedoms. In other words, to further pull back and roll back the government's grip of power. To give you an example, slavery was outlawed. Great. That increased freedom. So that was a great change to the Constitution. Women's right to vote. That's another great addition to the Constitution. It gave more freedom. In other words, it gave us what God gave. Well, actually, God gave us that freedom. But beyond that, it further clarified, look, this is what God gave us. Why were we restricting them in the first place? So that's what you have to keep in mind whenever you talk about making a new law. Does it clarify what's already in the Constitution and the freedoms we have? Or does it add, does it kind of roll back some of the restrictions that were on our freedoms? Those are good things. That's what we need. If the new law increases restriction and takes away freedom, we can't have it as a law. That's a bad thing. And again, what does freedom go back to? I go back to the hierarchy of our basic individual rights, our liberties. What is it? Life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. It all goes back to that. The Constitution was designed as an eternal, forever people, as an eternal rule book to clarify our God-given freedoms. And it's not to be infringed upon by government or by any man or anything. And that's what it's all about, guys. I really want to talk about a lot more, but we will get into more. But I want to hear from you. I want to hear your disagreements, your agreements. Add something to this, please. In other words, further bring this discussion into a deeper place, because we in America, we're in a lot of trouble here. There's a lot of hatred here. Look, if you want to send hate speech to me or send me a message that's hateful or negative about myself or about anyone that's just having this discussion, whether it be if you see this on YouTube on our discussion, on my discussion thread, I allow for discussion, obviously. But if it's hate speech, I don't want it. If it's somebody who's going to say you suck because you just do, look, you can disagree. You can even be fiery about it and say, I don't like this because it's really this bad. But please, give me some answers then. Don't just give me the problems. I want solutions. I want to hear solutions. That's what this is all about. And think, people. Use your mind. Seriously. Just think about common sense. Think about wisdom. Just use your mind to kind of, and keep these individual liberties and freedoms that we have in mind. And the hierarchy of them. Life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. There's a hierarchy there that cannot be ignored. This was done on purpose. Life first, liberty second, pursuit of happiness third. Now, yeah, they're all together. It's kind of like a trinity, in a sense. If you want to compare it to the religious aspect, it's a trinity of sorts. It's the three in one. But there is a hierarchy: life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. The pursuit of happiness cannot trump liberty. Your pursuit of happiness can't trump my liberty. Your liberty cannot trump my life. Can't. And your life, of course, can't trump my life. So it's all, it's very important. You have to think of it that way. It's a rock, scissors, paper thing. It's very critical that we understand what that means, instead of trying to be hateful to each other, because that's not going to solve anything. It's not going to solve our problems. I have a lot of ideas that are outside the mainstream, that are not, and I'm sure many of you do too, and that's great. But I'm telling you, we have to come to solutions here, or we are in trouble. This country's in worse trouble than many people think. A lot of people just, they'd rather just watch their American Idol. And hey, I love music. I'm a singer. I'm a songwriter. I love that stuff. But you know what? You know what's more important? The preservation of our lives, our liberty, and our pursuit of happiness. Those things are more important to be preserved. And how do we do that? We have to preserve the republic. How do we do that? We've got to debate these things respectfully. And we've got to come to solutions. And we've got to do research. We've got to be smart about it. No more of this just you got to take your personal thoughts against somebody, or how they look, or how they talk, or whether, I get people, I've had people say, oh, your music sucks. You know what? Whatever. What does that got to do with my ideas? What does that got to do with us solving our problems in this country? Let's focus more on that. Let's focus more on helping our children, because someday our children are going to have to live with the crap that we gave them, and the baloney, the utter disgusting things we're doing to our children now. What we're handing them. I mean, we're handing them a really rotten legacy right now. And I'm sad. I'm scared for my children. For my child. I have a son. He's an adult now with his own family, and I'm scared for him. I really am. I don't know. I don't know what to expect. I hope that we can fix this, and it can't be just one person doing all this. I would really like to. I know you guys probably don't expect me to be all serious. You want to hear, singing or whatever it is. It's we have to prioritize here. Things are important. Yes, I am going to sing. I write. I, create music. I sing songs. I love that stuff. But I also love my country. I love my country. I served my country many moons ago in the military, and this country means everything to me. This country is amazing. Think about what we have here. I mean, there's so many people right now in this world that are dying for their beliefs. There are women in this world who don't even have the freedom to say what I'm saying right now. They can't speak to you. They can't give you their ideas. Or they could be killed. I mean, is that what... Think about how amazing America is and where we've come. I mean, we've grown so much. We've grown from our beginnings, from our humble beginnings, Back when our republic started, we had, slavery. We had people were imprisoned here in this country, and that's over now. And there's many people that are still slaves in this world, and we can't save the world. I mean, we can't. I mean, at least not all at once, not right here today. Maybe eventually we can, but it all starts with us. It does. It all starts with us, and sorry for getting a little bit emotional, but this country, man, I served proudly. I was so humbled by the sacrifices of our forefathers, the people who died to give us these freedom. People went out on the battlefield and they bled and they died. Not only to protect America, many of them died to protect Europe, to protect Asia. They protect the American people are amazing. We're such an amazing people. We went overseas and we gave our lives for those we didn't even know. We gave our lives for people that we would never meet, and because we felt liberty and freedom and those principles that I talked about, those things are more precious than anything. And we said, we're gonna risk our lives. These men that did this, they risked their lives and many of them gave their lives for that freedom. And how can you not be emotional about that? How can you not be emotional? I mean, it's every time I would stand there saying the pledge or listening to the Star Spangled Banner, I was overwhelmed, and I was humbled and proud to serve my country. I felt as if I was doing something that I was morally required to do. I just felt that way, and I still do. I'm glad to have done it, and man, I am humbled because I didn't give my life for my country. I didn't, and I salute all of you who have risked your lives in ways that I haven't, and I honor those who gave their lives for us and for our future generations and for all the people in the world who were under the chains of tyranny. I mean, you had the Europeans under Hitler's crushing fist, and the Asians that were controlled by the Japanese Empire back in World War II also. And of course, even now, I mean, you see the Middle East that is controlled by so many different factions, and China that has that communist oppression and so much going on. We've seen a lot of changes, but we're not there yet, man. We have so much more to do. But I really, really feel like it's on my heart to speak of these things, and I don't care what people think. I just don't care. I don't care if you think I'm crazy or I'm talking too much or whatever. I'm going to keep talking because that's all I care about is the freedoms we have in this country, and I see them going away. I see them, every little thing that happens, we got to take this freedom. No, give an incentive for people to be better. Give an incentive for things to be better, and they will be. This is Michaelantonio signing off. Ciao, everybody.